In this passage, Sri Aurobindo is telling us about how we are connected to other worlds, to subtler worlds. And because of that connection, we get memories from there. That inspires us sometimes with great creative efforts. We want to recreate, like the divine force herself. We want to recreate those wonderful things that our spirit remembers from higher planes. But although our being thrills with high, far memories and wants to bring down their dateless meanings here, their timeless meanings here into our mortal, earthly world, those things are too divine for earthly nature's scheme. Beyond our reach, the eternal marvels blaze. So we're going to read on from line 246, right at the very bottom of page 109. Only when we have climbed above ourselves, a line of the transcendent meets our road and joins us to the timeless and the true. It brings to us the inevitable word, the God-like act, the thoughts that never die. A ripple of light and glory wraps the brain, and traveling down the moment's vanishing route, the figures of eternity arrive. As the mind's visitors or the heart's guests, they espouse our mortal brevity a while, or seldom in some rare delivering glimpse are caught by our vision's delicate surmise. Although beginnings only and first attempts, these glimmerings point to the secret of our birth and the hidden miracle of our destiny. What we are there and here on earth shall be is imaged in a contact and a call. As yet, earth's imperfection is our sphere. Our nature's glass shows not our real self. That greatness still abides, held back within. Earth's doubting future hides our heritage. The light, now distant, shall grow native here. The strength that visits us, our comrade power. The ineffable shall find a secret voice. The imperishable burn through matter's screen, making this mortal body Godhead's robe. The Spirit's greatness is our timeless source, and it shall be our crown in endless time. A vast unknown is round us and within. All things are wrapped in the dynamic one. A subtle link of union joins all life. Thus, all creation is a single chain. We are not left alone in a closed scheme between a driving of inconscient force and an incommunicable absolute. Our life is a spur in a sublime soul range. Our being looks beyond its walls of mind, and it communicates with greater worlds. There are brighter earths and wider heavens than ours. There are realms where being broods in its own depths. It feels in its immense dynamic core, its nameless, unformed, unborn potencies cry for expression in the unshaped vast. Ineffable beyond ignorance and death, the images of its everlasting truth look out from a chamber of its self-wrapped soul, as if to its own inner witness gaze, the spirit holds up its mirrored self and works, the power and passion of its timeless heart, the figures of its formless ecstasy, the grandeurs of its multitudinous might. Thence comes the mystic substance of our souls into the prodigy of our nature's birth. There is the unfallen height of all we are, and dateless fount of all we hope to be. So we start on the bottom of page 109 at line 245. Corinne, your start.
Only when we have climbed above ourselves, the line of the transcendent leaves our road and joins us to the timeless and true. It brings to us the inevitable world, the godlike act, the thoughts that never die.
If we manage to climb above ourselves, above our limitations, we may get some contact, a line of the transcendent from the divine existence beyond this manifestation, what hasn't been yet manifested here. Some line of connection meets our road and joins us to that transcendent world, the timeless and the true. So that line brings to us the inevitable word. Sri Aurobindo was always looking for the inevitable word, just the right word to express what he wanted to say perfectly. The word that can't be changed, which is just the right thing in the right place. It can bring us that kind of perfect expression. Or it may bring us the God-like act. Sometimes it happens in extreme situations that human beings have to do things that are really superhuman. And they manage it if that line of connection is there. Or the thoughts that never die. Some wonderful thought may come that brings us an undying knowledge and realization. Mihong.
A ripple of light and glory rests the brain, and traveling down the moment vanishing route, the figures of eternity arrive.
So when that line touches us, it's as if there's a ripple, like a wave of light and glory comes, touches the brain, fills it with glorious light. And that only lasts a moment, but traveling down this moment's vanishing route, we can't see where they have come from. The figures of eternity arrive. Symbolic thoughts, acts, forms that don't belong to our limited world of time and space, that come from beyond. Sarojini.
As the mind's visitors of the heart's guests will expose our mortal beauty a while, as freedom in some rare delivering dreams are caught by our visions, delicate surmise.
So those figures of eternity, they may visit the mind or stay for a while in the heart. Just for a while, for a little time, they espouse our mortal brevity. To espouse, it means to marry, actually. They unite with the shortness of our mortal time and experience. They are eternal, timeless figures, but they come and unite with the briefness of our existence, which is subject to death. Or seldom, very occasionally, in some rare delivering glimpse, we may get a vision of them, a glimpse, caught by our vision's delicate surmise. Surmise is like a kind of a guess. Can it really be like that?
Surmise is a guess. Is a guess.
These are so they visit us like that, and then we might get that feeling. The mind might have the feeling of something magical and miraculous, but we can hardly believe it could be true.
Surmise.
Surmise. Yeah.
Is there any French connection sur mise?
I don't know. Corinne can tell us.
Sur and mise.
So surmise. I don't know where it comes into English from, but it's like is it really going to happen? Something like that. Kamla.
Although beginning only and first attempt, this glimmerings points to the secret of our birth and the hidden miracle of our destiny. What we are there and here on earth shall be. It's imaged in a contact and a call.
So these experiences, he says, they're only beginnings, they're first attempts of our nature to come in contact with those things. And he calls them glimmerings, faint lights. But the fact that we can experience these faint lights and these surmises, this points to the real secret of our birth and the hidden miracle of our destiny, what we are going to be, meant to be, what we are there in those other worlds, and what it's the same as what we shall be here on earth. That secret of our birth and that miracle of our destiny is imaged. We experience it as a contact and a call, an invitation. Come, aren't you going to try it? Something like that.
As I told, it is old French surmise, feminine past participle of sur mettre. So mettre means to put.
Means what in French? Sur mettre means what?
To put.
Yes, I can see it. But this doesn't help us much, does it?
Yeah. But it has a root there.
Yes, yeah. From Old French, it says. Devin.
As yet, Earth's imperfection is our sphere. Our nature's glass shows not our real self. That greatness still abides, held back within. Earth's doubting future hides our heritage. The light, now distant, shall grow native here. The strength that visits us, our comrade power, the ineffable shall find a secret voice. The imperishable burn through matter's screen, making this mortal body Godhead's robe.
So here we are on earth, and our sphere of existence, our realm of existence, it is the realm of material imperfection. Nothing is perfect here. So when we look at ourselves as if in a mirror, as if in a looking glass, we don't see our true selves. Doesn't show us our real self. That greatness that we really are, is still waiting, hidden within. It's not yet revealed. Earth's doubting future. We don't know what's going to happen on Earth, do we? It's difficult to believe that anything really good can happen on this imperfect Earth. But that doubting future of the picture, doubting future that we see imaged in front of us, is hiding our true heritage, the destiny that we are meant to inherit. that light, that divine light, which we might just get a glimpse of at a great distance, it is meant to grow native here. Something that's native, it's really belonging to this place. Earth is meant to house that higher light. And that strength that just comes, that might bring a godlike act unexpectedly in very, very special situations. That strength that visits us is meant to become our comrade power, our partner in our divine work. The ineffable, that presence which can't be put into words, it will find a way of secretly expressing itself here on earth. And the imperishable, what cannot be destroyed or die, what will last forever, is going to have to burn through this robe of matter that we are wearing at the moment and turn this mortal body of ours, which is subject to death, which has to die, it will turn it into a robe, a covering for the Godhead, for the divine being who is really living within us.
Shraddhavan, could you explain again ineffable? What is
Sorry,
ineffable.
Ineffable. Yes, it's rather difficult to say what's ineffable. Ineffable, it sounds like a negative, but we don't have a positive word, or only as a joke you can say that something is effable. Ineffable. It can't be expressed. No words can put it into expression. We can't say anything about it. It's a word for the Supreme, for the One. No? He's ineffable. What can we say about him?
This burning means like the brick in the kiln.
Sorry?
Burning.
Yes, it's about, at the moment we have this material, no? But the divine being that's within, it has to burn through this dense matter until there's no dense matter left. There's only some wonderful, divine, subtle envelope expressing the Godhead within.
Like molding.
No, it's not like molding, it's like burning. And that's why we are afraid of it. Earlier on in Savitri it says the mortality in us fears that touch of ether and of fire. Ether, the finest, subtlest kind of substance. Something in us shrinks away from that. So that burning through can't happen until a considerable change of consciousness has come about. Ganga Lakshmi's been reading about that recently. I pointed out this passage in the Life Divine to her, where Sri Aurobindo talks about the ascending series of substance. We can say that this is the densest form of substance, this matter, inconscient matter. Then there's slightly less dense, this conscious physical that makes up our bodies, which is surprisingly conscious, but we don't realize it. But then there are higher levels of consciousness, or finer levels of life, which he's talking about here, no? And only when our inner spirit, our inner self, has thoroughly assimilated those higher and higher levels and been able to infuse them into the substance of the body, only then will we be able to have this burning through of the Godhead, so that even the physical body expresses the divine soul which is inhabiting it. That when we talk about the transformation of the physical, that's what we're talking about. It's very difficult for us to believe in it, but I have seen in Mother's room her once just make a gesture to somebody, to one of her attendants, to tell them to pick up something that had been dropped. And then I saw that's not stuff like we have, our bodies are made of. It's something completely different. So.
I don't tell the same to you, but your body also. Your body expresses some.
But it's still quite dense matter, Gangalakshmi.
Very white and emanates also. Depends the day. Now is my inner vision.
Yeah, so it's nice if something can shine through, a ripple of light and glory. Yeah. So, but this mortal body is supposed to become the robe for the inner divinity. You like to read, Ganga?
Yes. The Spirit's greatness is our timeless source, and it shall be one crown in endless time. A vast unknown is around us and within. All things are wrapped in the dynamic one. The subtle link of union joins all life.
Yes. So these are just 4 lines, no?
Yeah.
5 lines. We can remember these lines. The Spirit's greatness is our timeless source. That's where we've come from. That's what has caused us to exist. And that greatness of the Spirit is going to be our crown in endless time when we go beyond the limitations of this time and space we know now. We are not aware of it, but all around us is vast, unknown. It's around us, and it's also within us. We can become aware of it within ourselves. And all things, everything here, are wrapped in the dynamic one. It's not only the static spirit, the immobile, unchanging spirit. It's the dynamic force of the Mother, enveloping everything. And because that's enveloping everything, a subtle link of union joins all life. We're connected to all life everywhere in the universe. Shalini.
Thus all creation is a single chain. We are not left alone in a closed scheme. Between a driving of inconscient force and an incommunicable absolute. Our life is a spur in a sublime soul rage. Our being looks beyond its walls of mind, and it communicates with greater worlds. There are brighter earths and wider heavens than ours.
Yes. So everything is connected. Everything in the creation, in the manifestation. Everything is connected to everything else. All creation is a single chain. That means that we human beings are not cut off from everything else. We're not left alone in a closed scheme, the material universe. We may often feel like that, but it's not like that. We might feel that we are being driven constantly by a force of events, developments, experiences, happenings that are inconscient. That seems to be the base that our life is based on. And then we hear about this absolute spirit, pure existence and consciousness, but we can't communicate with that. We might feel cut off from the transcendent and from or by the inconscient force. But he says it's not like that. Our life is a spur in a sublime soul range. These two words here, spur and range, it makes us think of a line of hills or mountains. And when we see them from far off, it's a range of peaks. But sometimes there's one bit of that range which is sticking out into the plains, a spur. Our life is like that. We really belong to that sublime soul range that we have come from. So that means that our being is not limited by its walls of mind. It can look beyond them, and it can communicate with greater worlds than this material world. There are brighter earths and wider heavens than ours, although our earth sometimes can be so beautiful. And we can look up. Today, the skies were particularly dramatic and beautiful. No, a painter would like to paint those marvelous piles of mounting clouds and that brilliant blue behind. But that's nothing really. Beyond that, there are wider heavens than ours. And then he tells us about some of those other realms beyond ours, those brighter earths and wider heavens. Ganga Lakshmi, did you read?
Yeah.
You read. Jérôme.
There are realms where being broods in its own depths. It feels in its immense dynamic core, its nameless, unformed, unborn potencies. Cry for expression in the unshaped vast, ineffable beyond ignorance and death, the images of its everlasting truth. Look out from a chamber of its self-wrapped soul, as if to its own inner witness gaze, the spirits hold up its mirrored self and words, the power and passion of its timeless heart, the figures of its formless ecstasy, the grandeurs of its multitudinous might.
Yes. So there are these brighter earths and wider heavens, and among those there are realms where being, where pure existence broods in its own depths, as if indrawn, in trance, concentrated within. It's feeling in its immense dynamic core as if at the center of itself there's a tremendous power. It feels, or many powers, it feels its potencies, unborn potencies, powers that have not yet been expressed. They don't have any names, they don't have any forms, but deep within itself it feels those potencies, those potentialities wanting to be expressed, crying for expression in the unshaped vast, in the vastness where they haven't been manifested yet. Here we have that word ineffable again, inexpressible, beyond ignorance and death. The images of its everlasting truth, that is the everlasting truth of pure being. Those images look out from some hidden room in its soul which is self-wrapped, withdrawn, concentrated within itself. It's as if it's holding up a mirror, as if the spirit is holding up a mirror to itself, to its own inner witness gaze. It's looking at itself. It looks at itself and its works, the things that it's doing. It's looking at the power and intensity, the passion of its timeless heart, the figures of its formless ecstasy. That ecstasy has not yet been expressed in form, but it sees them there, those figures. It sees the grandeurs of its multitudinous might, its power, its strength, which gets expressed or can get expressed in so many different ways. So there are realms like that. Joel.
Thence comes the mystic substance of our souls into the prodigy of our nature's birth. There is the unfallen height of all we are, and the dateless fount of all we hope to be.
So thence, from there, from those realms, that's where the mystic substance of our souls has come from. It's come from there into this prodigy, this unnatural, freakish state of our nature's birth, our birth here in material nature. There, in those realms, is the unfallen height of all we really are. And the source, the dateless fount of all we hope to be, of everything that we can become, that we're destined to become. It's in those realms, those brighter earths and wider heavens, where spirit broods in its own depths. Pona.
On every plane, the heretic power, initiate of unspoken verities, dreams to transcribe and make a part of life in its own native style, and living come some trait of the perfection of the unborn, some vision seen in the omniscient light,
some far tone of the immortal rhapsodist voice, some rapture of the all-creating bliss, some form and plan of the beauty unutterable.
On every plane of existence, the hieratic power, the mother, she has to create. She's an initiate of unspoken verities, truths that have not been revealed, that are hidden. But she dreams to transcribe those verities, make them a part of life, transcribing. Praveen knows all about transcribing. He receives recordings of my voice giving these classes, and then he has to type them into the computer so that somebody can read them. Without hearing, they can read. Musicians also do transcriptions. There are musical compositions that have been written, for example, to be played on the violin or the flute. But other musicians think, oh, but I would like to play that on the piano or on the saxophone. So they transcribe, they have to rewrite the music in a different way so that they can express it in their own language. So he says that this power, the power of the divine force, the mother, she wants to transcribe and make a part of life in its own native style and living tongue, its own language. Some trait, some feature of the perfection of the unborn, those unmanifest things. Some vision she's caught, seen in that all-conscious light. She wants to catch hold of and transcribe some far tone of the immortal rhapsodist voice. A rhapsody is a very intense and passionate piece of music. So it's as if that music is being constantly sung on the higher realms. She wants to transcribe it and express it here in life. Some rapture of the all-creating bliss. Some form and plan of the beauty unutterable. This is the creative power. She wants to give expression to all these high things that are glimpsed on the higher realms, but in ways that are suitable to the lower planes. And because she wants to do that, then sometimes it comes into us. We get a creative urge, we get some feeling or some experience, and we want to be able to express it in words or in painting or in music or in life. So those are the realms where being broods in its own depths. But there are some other worlds too. Let's read about those. Yes, come.
Hieratic means?
Hieratic. It's like being a priest. A priest has to mediate between the ordinary people and the divine. So he has some special knowledge which enables him to do that mediation or communication, or to put in the divine into contact with the human. So the mother is like that.
Unutterable.
Sorry?
Unutterable.
Unutterable. Yes, we can't utter it. We can't speak it. Yeah, beauty, the real beauty with a capital B. How can we express it? Not in words. We might find some other way to express it. Young, would you read?
Mothers here those personality areas where the response to truth is swift and sure, and spirit is not hampered by its flame, and hurt by sharp division, chest and brain, and delight and beauty are inheritance, and all and sweetness are the law of life.
Yes. So there's other worlds which are not those worlds where spirit is withdrawn into itself, and not the worlds where the divine force is wishing to express them. But there are other worlds which are nearer than we are to those absolute realms. In those higher worlds, the response to truth is swift and sure, automatic. And spirit is not hampered by its frame. In our world, it's always as if spirit is hampered by its frame, by the body. In those realms, hearts are not seized and rent, torn and tortured by sharp division. In those worlds, delight and beauty are inhabitants, and love and sweetness are the law of life. And in those realms, there's a different kind of substance, not this physical substance that we know about. Praveen, would you read?
A finer substance in a subtler mood embodies the divinity earth but dreams. Its strength can overtake joyous running feet, overleaping the fixed hurdles set by time. The rapid net of an intuitive clasp captures the fugitive happiness we desire.
Thank you. A finer substance. It's not only that our substance is rather insensitive. But if it were finer, less dense, it could be able to give a body, to embody a divine quality that our material earth can only dream about. That finer substance is much stronger than our earthly substance, and it's able to run fast enough to catch up with joy, joy that's always running away from us. It can overleap the fixed hurdles set by time. You do athletics? You know what hurdles are? Yes? You have to run and leap over these obstacles that are put in the way. So time, for us, for our substance, time puts hurdles, obstacles in the way. But that inner strength, that subtler substance, can just leap over those. It's no problem for them. And it's an intuitive quality which can, as if, catch hold of the fugitive happiness that we desire, as if catching it in a net. The rapid net of an intuitive clasp captures that fugitive happiness, that happiness which is eluding us, running away from us. It can catch it. Because our senses are very dull, really. we can experience some delight, and we're very attached to whatever delight we can experience through our senses. But much finer, more wonderful experiences can be seized if we escape from this heavy substance of our body, this dense, unresponsive substance of our bodies. So that's one kind of subtle matter. We'll stop there for today, but we'll read about it next time. Only when we have climbed above ourselves, a line of the transcendent meets our road and joins us to the timeless and the true. It brings to us the inevitable word, the God-like act, the thoughts that never die. A ripple of light and glory wraps the brain, and travelling down the moment's vanishing route, the figures of eternity arrive. As the mind's visitors or the heart's guests, they espouse our mortal brevity awhile. Or seldom, in some rare delivering glimpse, are caught by our vision's delicate surmise. Although beginnings only and first attempts, these glimmerings point to the secret of our birth and the hidden miracle of our destiny. What we are there and here on earth shall be is imaged in a contact and a call. As yet, earth's imperfection is our sphere. Our nature's glass shows not our real self. That greatness still abides, held back within. Earth's doubting future hides our heritage. The light now distant shall grow native here. The strength that visits us, our comrade power. The ineffable shall find a secret voice. The imperishable burn through matter's screen, making this mortal body Godhead's robe. The Spirit's greatness is our timeless source, and it shall be our crown in endless time. A vast unknown is round us and within. All things are wrapped in the dynamic one. A subtle link of union joins all life. Thus all creation is a single chain. We are not left alone in a closed scheme between a driving of inconscient force and an incommunicable absolute. Our life is a spur in a sublime soul range. Our being looks beyond its walls of mind, and it communicates with greater worlds. There are brighter earths and wider heavens than ours. There are realms where being broods in its own depths. It feels in its immense dynamic core its nameless, unformed, unborn potencies cry for expression in the unshaped vast. Ineffable beyond ignorance and death, the images of its everlasting truth look out from a chamber of its self-wrapped soul, as if to its own inner witness gaze, the spirit holds up its mirrored self and works, the power and passion of its timeless heart, the figures of its formless ecstasy, the grandeurs of its multitudinous might. Thence comes the mystic substance of our souls into the prodigy of our nature's birth. There is the unfallen height of all we are, and dateless fount of all we hope to be. On every plane, the hieratic power, initiate of unspoken verities, dreams to transcribe and make a part of life in its own native style and living tongue, some tray of the perfection of the unborn, some vision seen in the omniscient light, some far tone of the immortal rhapsodist voice, some rapture of the all-creating bliss, some form and plan of the beauty unutterable. Worlds are there nearer to those absolute realms, where the response to truth is swift and sure, and spirit is not hampered by its frame, and hearts by sharp division seized and rent, and delight and beauty are inhabitants, and love and sweetness are the law of life. A finer substance in a subtler mould embodies the divinity earth but dreams. Its strength can overtake joy's running feet. overleaping the fixed hurdles set by time, the rapid net of an intuitive clasp captures the fugitive happiness we desire.